hello. This is a day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be exceedingly glad in it. I'm Pastor Vernon Brice here with your Two For Real podcast from Kingdom Builders Christian Center Church. I want you to know my co-host is not here. Lady T is not here today. She had other things that came about and she had to take care of. But I'm going to talk to you today the best that I can by myself. Do the best you can while you can. But I want to talk today to the men. Now, this is for women too, and I hope that nobody's be offended because these are just suggestions. But I want to talk today to the men on how that you can possibly become a real man. When you think about being a nice guy, what do you think about? It's probably what your mother said. Always be nice. Always be nice. You know what I think? I think about being a nice guy when I go back to maybe my dating days or my high school or junior high. You know, you had a girl that you really liked. You know, you really liked her, and then you finally got the nerve to let her know you like her, and she probably told you, well, you know what, you're a real nice guy, but you're not my type. So this time, to be told that you're just a nice guy to somebody you like and not their type, you don't want to be the nice guy anymore. You honestly don't want to be the nice guy. So what do you do about it? Okay, let me say this. Maybe you haven't been in that situation, but maybe you've been in a situation that's similar to that. It's one thing to be nice, but it's another thing to be the real man. It's all right to be a nice guy, but it's time that we be a real man. So I looked at the acronym REAL, R-E-A-L, and I came up with responsibility, electic, as E-C-L-E-C-I-T, T-I-C, and authenticity and love, which is the acronym for being real, okay? So what is a real man? Well, you might be looking at it in a way like, well, you got to be 21 years old. Well, some people are 41 years old and still aren't men. Some men are, I should say, some males. It's always about being the best you can be. Now, when I look at being a real man, that's something I strive to do every day. And men that are listening, I hope you will strive to be a real man every day. You don't have to be married to be a real man. You don't have to be a father to be a real man. None of those things hurt, but it wouldn't hurt for you to be a real man every day of your life. So I came up, with the, I didn't come up with, I researched about the 4 acronyms about how to be a real man. So let's start with step number 1. How to be a real man. You need to be responsible. Everyone tells you to be responsible. But what does it mean? What I found out, it means 100% ownership of everything in your life. You have to own everything in your life. Everything you do, everything you say, you're accountable for. I don't care whether it's bad or good, you should own up to it. You can't be afraid of owning up to your mistakes, men. We think men don't cry. We think men should admit that they are wrong or they have a weak spot. That doesn't make you less of a man. When you identify those areas, that make you more of a man because you can identify and say, that's me. You can't do anything unless you own up to your own self. You can't find yourself, and listen to me, men. I know my dad and my men in my life did the best they could to show me how to be a man. Yet and still, the only way they knew how to show me about is what they knew. That didn't make it right, nor did it make it wrong, but it's only what they knew. It's like, for an example, buying a car. If you buy a car outright, then you have the right to own that car and do what you want to it. You can change the color, you can change the new radio system, you can change the tires, you can get the windows tinted, you can do whatever you want to it. You can let the seat back as far as you want to or up it, close if you want to. You can do whatever you want. By right, it's your car. You can do that. When you own up to your own life, you can do anything you need to do with it, whether you like it, whether somebody likes it or not, because it's your life. But you ought to want to be the best you can be when it comes to owning up to your life and being accountable. Now, when we look at the first step of being responsible, it incorporates what I found to be 5 traits that helps you to be responsible. The first trait I came up with was honesty. Men, we have to be honest, not just with the woman that you are in a relationship with, but with yourself. Learn to be honest with yourself. Honesty is still the best policy. You might be able to get away with a few things in life, but I've learned in life in the 67 plus years, it'll catch up with you when you're not honest. Being dishonest always catches up with you, and it'll catch up with you when you least expect it. So we got to learn, if you will, to take the responsibility of being honest. We got to always tell the truth. Always tell the truth, no matter what it is. You know, I looked at a situation once, and I know you probably know somebody like this, where a man or some men have had outside children, and they had them doing their marriage relationship, and then they, instead of them telling their wife or their significant other, if you put that into play, they allowed them to find out through other sources. Now, sometimes it doesn't make it easy to hear the truth, but it would have been a lot better, I do believe, if they had been honest with them and they heard it from them, being the man, than to hear from an outside source. At least you own up to your responsibility. Then I came up and I found this other one, not only being honest, you have to be compassionate or have compassion. Compassion is a trait that many men lack, and they have lacked it for a long time. We think it's weak to show love. And I shouldn't say love, just say compassion. We think it makes us weak. We think I think I said earlier, we don't want the world, we've been taught that men shouldn't cry. Well, that's a form of relief. I found it relieves you sometimes when you can cry, not necessarily just screaming and hollering, but it's a form of releasing when you can cry. You need to look at people when they look at you as being compassionate, and that's a thing that men need to learn. We need to learn how to do just that. We should be slow, if you will, to judge people or men because they are showing compassion. You should show your wife, your kids, your family, anybody you know, your friends, some compassion. Jesus had compassion. So we should have compassion. Then the third thing was fairness. Fairness is needed to control our prejudices. Sometimes we are prejudiced, not black and white just necessarily. We are prejudiced toward other men that we may think are doing better. Sometimes we're prejudiced toward other men when we think they're doing worse. But nevertheless, we are still prejudiced, and we got to learn as humans. We need to learn to classify things, and we need to love to classify them and put them into a box where they need to be. Some fairness needs to be put in or come out of a box. I should not put in a box, come out of a box. And we should learn to do this with people. Look outside the box. Look past the fault, I call it, and see the need. That may be a reason why people don't speak to you today. They could have gotten up, and don't make it right. They could have gotten up and had some bad news. They could have gotten up not feeling well. They could have got up and fell down. Something could have taken place to cause them to act the way they're acting. So you should always be ready, men, real men, to be fair. Then the next one is accountable. You have to be accountable for the actions, both good and bad. Like I said, what I mean by that, you got to acknowledge and accept the consequences of your actions. Amen. Amen to that. Men, we've got to be accountable. The woman or the wife should always be the one that's leading all the time. It's nothing wrong with a woman leading sometime, but as the man, a real man, you should want to lead all the time. There's nothing wrong with yielding to let her lead sometime, but support her. Be accountable in supporting her, and you take the lead. If you're going to take the lead, you should be the one, if you know the enemy is out there, you should be the one to take the first bullet. If the enemy is shooting, not the wife, not the children, you. So you got to learn to be accountable and stop blaming people for the shortcomings you have. Stop blaming people for the shortcomings you have. Then the next one I came up with was, if you will, you got to have the courage, the responsibility that men dare to do the right thing. It takes courage to do so. What I mean by doing the right thing is this, men, husbands, if you will. Sometimes you have to tell the wife and family no. You're not saying no to be mean or to be argumentative or to be in disagreement. You feel and you evaluate the situation that it's not a good call right now. So you must have no. You must have no on it, okay? So I'm trying to move right along, okay? So we got those traits that's in there: honesty, compassion, fairness, accountable, and courage. Now, step 2 is, if you want to know how to be a real man, you got to be elected. The definition for elected is a drive and an idea, though. You got to learn to get a broad source of things to learn how to be the best man you can be. We got to learn to always adapt to change. Men have got to learn to adapt to change. We think just being a man because we put on pants. That's not necessarily so. We want to expand our knowledge. We need to take up reading more things and doing more things and so that we can be the best we can be in this generation. We got to learn to adapt. Men should still be men. We got to sometimes change the way we come at things, but we still be the man that God has called us to be. And I know today I'm not going to probably get through all this, but I'm running out of time. But I want to make sure that we get this covered, how to be a real man, And then in the next coming days, stay tuned to the 2 for Real podcast. I'll be back to finish this. I have 2 more steps after this that we should look at. But always remember now, how to be a real man starts with responsibility, and then it starts with elected. Amen? Now you remember, and I always say this in all my promotions, you stay focused, stay in faith, and stay connected to everything connected to this church. We are Kingdom Builders Christian Center Church and the 2 for Real podcast. We will be back again. God bless you.